So here I looked at all the two-bedroom apartments with, I try to look at properties with a similar size and with
Yeah.
similar,
Features, yeah.
inches, if I can say, and the bathrooms and the rooms. So I came across, two-bedroom, two bathrooms, and this is in Beria. So the asking price is 360. And then I did a 20% discount, which worked out
Perfect.
to
Very happy
88.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the agent's rental forecast was around 7,350. And then I went onto private property to just look at the average. I worked out my own average. And
Cool.
then it came up to that 7.4. TPN, I'm still getting my mind wrapped around how they work. So I didn't pull any reports from them.
You know what, to be honest, I've got a philosophy about that.
Yeah.
I say you don't need to be pulling reports until you're getting to an offer stage. Right now you're doing some due diligence.
Yeah.
You don't need to be pulling reports for every single deal that you look at. Only the ones that look like they could progress to the next level.
Okay. After having used the tool, right? Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'm happy with those numbers. They look quite realistic.
Okay. And then the buying costs, attorney's fees, bond attorney's costs, they came up to that amount.
Cool. You just used Uber, hey, for that?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I followed everything you say on the tutorials.
Perfect. Looks good.
I do have a question though, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So everything remains the same.
Cool. Minor
And then I
renovation,
did a short
25.
list. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely watched the tutorial because that's how much I would recommend for an area like that.
Yes, but you see, because I wasn't familiar, I just scrolled through the pictures. And I thought, definitely, because some of the properties, they seem a little bit run down.
Can you open the link for me quickly? I'd like to see.
So let me know when you want to go through.
Yep, you can scroll through them quite quickly. I'll get a sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
See.
Yeah. 100%. You're more than comfortable with 25,000. The key things that I'm always looking for are structural issues. Maybe the roof is caving in. I look at the finishes of the kitchen and the bathroom. As long as it's clean and functional, that makes me happy. If I start seeing like cracks or things are lopsided, then it's an issue. And then lastly, I look at, is the property currently tenanted or not? And by the photos, you can see someone's currently living there. So you're probably not going to need to renovate that property as long as you take on that tenant that's already happy living in those conditions.
And they are a good... is it important for us to know if they pay rent on time?
Definitely. You need 6 to 12 bank statements, 6 to 12 months bank statements, or 6 to 12 months of rent roll. They have to prove to you that that's the income that they're getting. They can't. I don't go on the estate agent's word, and I don't even go on the TPN report. I want to see actual financial statements for the last 6 to 12 months.
And then, who is that from the seller, Lawrence?
Look, I mean, not every seller is so happy to give you their banking details because they might have several properties or they might have other incomes, and they don't want you to see everything.
But I guess they could just... I hide whatever I don't want people to see on my bank statements.
Yeah, you could do that, or at minimum, you need to see 6 months of a rent roll with some sort of letterhead of a managing company. You can't just get an Excel spreadsheet because the owner can put that together. You want to see an actual document with a letting agent logo on the page so that you can verify that information.
Okay.
Otherwise, rather walk away. If you don't have full visibility, for me, that's too big a risk. You're not in the risk business. You're in the property business.
And I think also, sometimes we just need to use our gut feel if something is off. I don't know. Yeah. Just Okay.
Cool.
So for the refurb for 25. Okay. And then here, this is where my question came through. Remember, I asked you how much holding costs should one, apply. The reason why I asked, when I did my training before, this was for a flip, right?
Yeah,
I would need to factor at least 3 months and at the most 6 months
correct.
of holding costs. That includes everything, like you said, rates, levies, and
Yeah.
the bond that you pay to the bank. But now I'm not sure, and I noticed in your training, there were no holding costs that you were factoring
Yes.
in.
So let me
Why?
explain that there's a difference between holding costs for a flip and
Yeah.
holding costs for a rental.
Okay.
Holding costs for a flip, on average, it's taking about 4 months to sell and
Yeah.
register a property, and then another 2 months for renovation. So that's why we usually aim for 6 months holding costs for the duration of the flip. But with a rental, you're probably buying a property that already has a tenant in it. So you
Okay.
won't have any holding costs. But maybe you need to budget a month and a half to find a tenant. So that's where you put
That
this month and a
avoid.
half, you'd put it in here. You'll also see your holding costs are in your cash flow statement. That's where
Yeah.
we're working out the monthly running of the numbers.
Yeah. So you're saying, I guess it won't happen like that each and every time, but you're saying it's always ideal to find a property with a tenant in it, right? Not
It's
necessarily.
not necessarily ideal. There are just certain areas where it's more common. So Berea, it's very
Okay.
common to buy from an investor who's already renting out to a tenant.
Okay.
Whereas if you're buying in the Four Ways area or Midrand, you're probably buying from the person who bought the property. So they're leaving the property, leaving it vacant. So it's more what's common in that area.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Then okay. So I worked on a 90% loan to value.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then over 20 years.
I'm glad you're working it out on 10% and not what it is
On,
currently, which is like 7%, because it's not realistic.
yes, yes, yes. That's what I was thinking also. I thought, just to be, what's the English word? Conservative. Is it
Yes,
conservative? Yeah. I
correct.
think 10% is better. And then, my next question then, the angel finance, right?
Yeah.
I saw that in one of your examples, I think it was a guy that had a really good deal. I can't remember his name, but anyway, you had factored in about 35,000 rands of angel financing, right?
Yeah.
When should one consider angel financing? At what point?
So it's a great question. If you can get bank finance is always the best. It's always going to be the
It's cheaper.
cheapest.
Yeah. Okay.
Investors are charging anywhere upwards of 12 to 15%. The bank is charging you 10%, and they've got a lot more money to lend you. So, just in terms of economies of scale, the banks can lend more, they'll always be cheaper, but they're also more strict with their lending. So, the
Yeah.
only time you want to go angel is when you can't access bank finance.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just writing down notes.
And what's great about you, Tabang, is that you've got a good salary, you've got a good income, so your affordability is already quite high. You should be leveraging that. And once you reach, the peak or the ceiling, then we can start introducing you to investors.
Okay. Okay.
Cash
Monthly
flow.
cash flow. So the levies 1812. I spoke to one of I actually WhatsApp the agent in
Yeah.
Joburg, and then because I'm not sure if it was this one. They hadn't specified, what the rates and taxes were. So he said on an average it's between 350 and 500.
Yeah,
So
I'm comfortable with those numbers. I've seen that
yeah,
before.
and then I did 1 month void costs.
Yeah, that's good.
Management fee of 8%, and then maintenance provision of 5%.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think what we should do is maybe just change those two around.
Yep.
So I'd rather have the management 5%.
Okay.
Reason being is if you get a home loan with ABSA and you use Trafalgar Letting Agency in Berea, they will give you 5% instead of 10%. So they'll give you 50% discount.
Oh, okay.
As long as your home loan is with ABSA, ABSA's got a relationship with Trafalgar, and Trafalgar manages your property at 5%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the maintenance, I think 8%. Yeah, you want to have at least 1 month's rent saved up, just for when the the geyser bursts or the paint needs to be the room needs to be repainted, etc.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
I think this looks like a promising deal.
Yep. So you're happy with this? Okay, so let's do next.
Yeah. 16%, fantastic.
Okay.
Debt ratio is good. Mo ratio is okay. It says that your Mo ratio is unhealthy, and that's just because of your levies. The problem with investing in Berea is that the levies are always very high, which makes it a very high risk. Could you go to the ROR tab there?
ROR, and why is that, Lawrence? What type of an area is it?
You see, the interesting dynamic within Berea is that, for example, you've got a building with 20 floors.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lift or an elevator in that building.
Okay.
Now, everybody in that building needs to pay a small fee every month to upkeep the building, upkeep the elevators, upkeep the security guards, etc. Now, usually what they do is they'll pick one family within that building to manage that, to go manage the collection from everybody, and to manage the building upkeep. Now, sometimes those people are good and they actually manage the building, and sometimes they just use that money for themselves.
Wow, okay.
Now, when they're doing that, when they're using the money for themselves, eventually the lift gets into such bad condition that they have to replace the lift, which means that everybody in that building has to contribute to the 10 million rand it costs. And then a special levy gets hit. And the special levy is for 6 to 12 months, you have to pay an extra 1,000 rand to pay for the lift. So a high levy is usually an indicator of a bit of risk that you have to be aware of.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay. Have you done this ROR before?
No, I didn't, but what I noticed, these figures were already populated, so I didn't manually put in any of the variables.
Okay, yeah, those are just some of the generic numbers.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, those are actually pretty accurate. Let's just click the calculate button and then I'll show you what this section does. So it's quite nice as it does projections for you and it tells you how your deal will do over a 20-year period.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically what this is saying is because the rent is increasing quicker than your expenses every month, eventually this deal will continue to bring in more and more cash flow.
Okay, that's good.
So you can just hover over one of those green bars. There, and it tells you in year 8 your income for the year will be that, your expenses will be that, your cash flow will be 33,000.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you for watching another video on your step to financial freedom. Now, if you enjoyed this content and you're looking at what your next steps would be, well, firstly, go and look at my property investment coaching package. You can find that on lawrencebull.com/coaching. I've put the URL there. It'll explain what the coaching package entails. Alternatively, please go and get a copy of my book. You can get it at any exclusive books, or you can follow that incredibly long link, which is lawrencebull.com/product/financial-freedom-through-property. Finally, go get yourself registered with mypropertyapp.online, which is the app that I use every day to analyze deals. It basically is a set of inputs that you put in, and then it'll calculate your return on investment, your exit strategy, your 20-year cash flow projections, your return on equity, everything that you need to know. Until next time, happy investing.